Good afternoon. It's a bit loud, isn't it? Late on the third day. Everyone's still here. Blockchain, crypto, DeFi, millions of things going through your minds. I hope you've got a few minutes also, a bit of space in your minds left for immersive technology. Thank you very much for sticking around. So, the title is 2022 the breakthrough year? First of all, I want to say that there's a question that we hear all the time in the world of investment and technology. What problem are you trying to solve? I personally have a problem with this question. I think that if we're constantly looking at solving problems that we know exist, we're going to miss the most disruptive technologies. Disruptive tech adds value to areas that we didn't even know we wanted or needed. Let's take Facebook, for example. I'm pretty sure that pre-2004, people weren't roaming the earth saying, I have a problem. I have no online platform on which I want to share pictures of my cat with everyone I know and actually with everyone I don't know. But Mark Zuckerberg, credit to him, he knew that people might want this and the rest is history. Immersive technology has the ability to be truly, truly disruptive. But one word of caution, technology only ever exists to serve a purpose. Whether we know the demand or don't know the demand, it's only there to support something else. Technology doesn't exist in its own right. And every single time I've seen a startup where they focus on tech for tech's sake, it always, always fails. And this is why with immersive technology, we have to be a bit careful, because when we look at the tech around VR, AR, it's really cool. But cool doesn't add value. And we need to be careful of this. Let's have a look at a couple of areas of extended reality that have added value in the sports world in the last year or so. This is the Carolina Panthers mixed reality Panther that debuted at the first game of the season against the New York Jets. Just to clarify, people in the stadium didn't see this. This is for people at home watching. Pretty cool, and it added a lot of sponsorship value for sure. A lot of financial interest in that. Sticking with the NFL, last year the NFL partnered up with Nickelodeon to access a much wider and newer audience, namely children. You can see the use of augmented reality overlays, coupled with a relevant commentary team, and they were accessing new audience, giving them greater value, including slime cannons every time a touchdown was scored. So how can immersive technologies become more viable as businesses? Well, let's think what the blockers are, first of all, what they always have been. Cost. Headsets for virtual reality have been prohibitively expensive, of course. They're cumbersome. People don't want to put a headset on their head for too long, of course. And there are tech restrictions. If the immersion isn't smooth, if the user experience isn't a good one, people are not going to adopt. But we're definitely on the right track here. Headsets are certainly getting cheaper. If we look at the Oculus Quest, the current version that's come out now, the Oculus Quest 2, is half the price of what it was 4 years ago. It's now down to $300, and of course, it's a far more advanced headset. And there are tech advances, Web 3.0, distributed computing that will replace cloud computing, 5G. I'm just saying technological words as if I know what they mean. I don't. I'm not a technologist, but I know the business application of technology, and all these improvements mean that immersive tech can now be applied and come to the forefront. So which sectors of immersive tech are primed to adopt, or which sectors are primed to adopt immersive technology? Education is an obvious one. Of course, through COVID, online and remote learning has been an almost must. Similar to work, you know, how many of us stuck in Zoom meetings all the time? It's not easy to have those strategic meetings if we're remote. If we're immersed in it, then maybe it will be much better. But, of course, gaming, esports, that's the area that I think is most primed, and it's obvious why. Let's understand why. Esports already is based on a digital ecosystem. We're not taking old-fashioned people and saying, step out of your analog world, try this new tech out. No, our audience is already tech-savvy. And, of course, they're also used from the get-go to using equipment, so a bit of extra equipment is not strange or foreign to them. So 2022, looking forward, it's round the corner now. What are we looking at? The COVID effect, of course. One of the best things that ever happened to gaming, unfortunately, but it's taken the numbers through the roof. We've got better and cheaper headsets. We've got on the screen here the new Sony headset, and I think more significantly is the Apple headset, the View, that is destined to come out in 2022. And why do I say that's significant is because I think people are talking a lot about the iPhone moment for VR. Apple are creating a tech ecosystem that other content creators can feed into, very similar to the way they created for iOS, that any application builders or game creators could feed into that. That is what is happening, and that could be the major disruption in the augmented virtual reality world. Many thanks to Bitcraft, who put out a fantastic report very recently, and I've lifted a couple of slides from that. This shows the number of headsets that are expected to be shipped over the next few years. I don't know if you can see this on the screen, but you've got about 10 million in 2021, projected to go up to over 70 million. But much more important than those absolute numbers is that by 2025, we project that shipment of headsets will outstrip shipment of consoles, which is that orange line in the middle. Also the funding. We talk about investment is absolutely key here. These are the 4 major game studios in esports, and the funding, over the last 9 months, we've seen $46 million in funding. Now, $46 million in this day and age is not really that much. VCs are spraying tens of millions of dollars all over the place. But just as a percentage, it's over 35% of all the money that's been given to VR studios, game studios, ever. And it shows that the investment community is really getting involved. When you put together a lot of money and clever people, then some great things can happen. But one thing at a time, of course. Let's think what will come first. How do we bring value to these consumers through immersive technology? Quickly talking about the obvious business models, B2C and B2B. Personally, I have difficulty with the B2C channel. The reason is that B2C users are essentially lazy. The end user is essentially lazy. He doesn't want to put his hand in his pocket unless he absolutely needs to. He doesn't even want to click one more click on his phone unless he thinks it brings him value. So I prefer to look at the B2B area. There are huge advantages here. First of all, sponsorship revenues, as we saw the example of the Carolina Panthers. You can have customized product per territory on IP per user. And of course, if you've got through your B2B channels, extra data coming in, you've got consistent product improvements through the use of that data. But for the coming period, I honestly believe that there's some low-hanging fruit here. What I call simple AR, okay? Not the use of fancy glasses or anything like that, but simple AR, overlays, like we saw with the NFL, with Nickelodeon, what they did. I think there's a lot of added value coming in the next year. Web AR has reduced all the software blockers for usage of these overlays. And of course, if you don't need a headset, you've got no hardware blocker. Let's look at a couple of use cases. Sponsorship and advertising, always big money spinners, of course. Let's have a look at this. This is a company that I like. What they do is they've managed to seamlessly overlay advertising in-game. Here's a Miller Lite advert. Looks like it appears on the wall within the game. This company does it so well, they don't actually have to integrate technologically with the publisher at all. And they can also customize the advert per user. So at the end, someone sitting in China can see a completely different advert to someone sitting in Brazil. And it doesn't even have to be according to their location. Betting, increased betting engagement. I am absolutely fed up, as someone who loves sports betting, of how two-dimensional the whole bet engagement still is. I took this screenshot off my phone 2 weeks ago. It looks like I could have taken this 20 years ago. Famous, well-known brand, but they're all the same. You've got, at the top, either the video stream or the visualization of the content. This is a game between Milan and Inter. And you've got the prices below. Same thing all over again. And if someone is in the video stream here, they have to come out of the video, of the full screen, in order to place a bet. Cumbersome. There are plenty of solutions that exist today to allow for augmented reality overlays so that the user can stay in full screen on his phone, bet through the video itself, and have a much better experience. But all those things I'm talking about are just further engagement. They're not really immersive, are they? So I think for real immersion, we are going to need virtual reality or augmented reality hardware or glasses. Real immersion is where real disruption is going to come in. And just my own personal feeling on it, I think that the real disruption is around the social element. If you're around about my age as a parent, I'm 46, my kids are 19, 16, and 9. we've often voiced concerns over the last 15, 20 years that our kids are growing up in an era where they have no social interaction. Instead of playing in the park like we did when we were kids, they're stuck on their computers. Very valid concerns. But the ability to socially interact through immersive technology is perhaps solving that issue and also creating a demand, as we said before, that we didn't even know we needed. I spoke to a friend of mine recently. His son, his teenage son, who has the new Oculus headset, was interacting with a friend of his in another building, but in an immersive way. He's saying, "Oh, where are you? I'm over here," and he turns around and he sees him. This is far more interactive, of course, than chatting through a screen and a flat trajectory. I believe that, and my wife would hate me for saying this, that actually this can increase the social interaction of kids. My wife hates technology. She thinks the metaverse is going to ruin us all. Maybe she's right. But until we get there, it's a long way. And I do believe that Gen Z and millennials who may have suffered potentially without this, with reduced social skills, VR interactions can create a much, much more improved scenario for them and actually bring us closer together. So if they were going to interact, if this is for kids, we're talking a lot about gaming. Is VR, virtual reality for esports, on its way? I don't know if you can actually see this. The writing is not clear, so I'll explain it. Even though the virtual reality and immersive technology and esports is very different from traditional sports, the process, in my opinion, is still very much the same. If you've got enough content that says esports VR content up there, which we don't yet, game studios need to prepare and create this content, and we saw that the investment is rising, then that, of course, will lead to an increased player database. More players will use it. Logically, that leads to a large fan base, which allows broadcasting and interaction between them. Then we get the VR leagues and teams getting set up, and of course that leads to sponsorship and media rights and other money spinners, including betting, of course. It's not a question, in my opinion, of whether that will happen. Let's just go back a sec. It's not a question of whether this will happen, it's just when. That's all. So 2022, is it going to be the breakthrough year? Well, if you ask me, I actually think that it's going to be a key year, but I think it more sets the scene rather than an explosion. I think we have to experience those simple wins first through simple AR overlays, but the reduction in cost, the immersive experience is becoming smoother, 8K technology and all the rest. It's more cost effective and there's more investment, means that 2022 is going to be a key year. But my guess, I would have said estimate, but it's a guess, is that 2024-25 is when we're going to see a market explosion in this area. Now, if I'm right about these dates, then if you're an investor in this space, which is what I am, then I think now is the time to get involved. If you're a gaming studio in this space, this is the time to look at VR. And if you're a gamer yourself, then just keep doing what you're doing and having fun. The future seems very, very bright for immersive technology. Thank you very much for your time.